Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the books Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate, as well as Theta-Waves Meditation. And I'll put links to my books below. This video is the second part of obvious lies that most of us believe. It's counterintuitive because we know these are not truths, but we go along just to get along with others. And I have some notes on screen so that I don't miss anything. The first lie is when people say that no one is perfect. It doesn't really add more information to the narrative. And when you think about it, how can we use the word perfect on this plane of existence on Earth? I mean, and if we actually look at the definition of perfect, and I have it on screen now, it's from Merriam-Webster. It says that perfect is an adjective and it's about being entirely without fault or defect or corresponding to an ideal standard or abstract concept. Now, if we meet most people on this planet, actually just about everyone, why should we even attempt to compare them to perfection? Human beings have been at war about 97% of our history. So we're far from being peaceful beings. So the fact that we even insinuate that we can use the word perfect in any context is kind of absurd. I mean, yes, a person could be, let's say, a very good person or even maybe excellent in a particular task, but perfection should not be used in pretty much any context. Another common lie is that there are no stupid questions. I hear teachers say that to their students, or if even you go to work, you have maybe a supervisor that will say that to their employees. But yes, there are stupid questions because it's a reflection of your understanding of the subject matter. If you're not well versed in a particular topic, you will ask questions that are pretty self-evident. So in other words, it has to do with your understanding of the different parts that make up this particular topic or subject. And if you don't understand the logic behind it, you will ask some a question that really doesn't make sense, and that would be considered a stupid question. So that's why I find that it's very irritating when I hear that, because you know the person who says there are no stupid questions, if you do ask a stupid question, they'll be like, why are you saying that? It's so self-evident. So it's something that people say to be politically correct, but we know deep down, yes, there are stupid questions because it reflects even your IQ and your ability to understand how one, let's say, aspect or concept matches with others. Another common lie is that children are innocent and that it's only society that corrupts them. Yes, living on Earth is very difficult. We have to face so many challenges in terms of like the lies that are being told. We could have financial issues, relationship conflicts, but to say that all children come out, innocent and pure is not true. I would say that people explore the work by my favorite spiritual teacher, Dr. David R. Hawkins, because in his book, Power versus Force and the Eye of the I, he explores the fact that people are born at a particular level of spiritual evolution, and it's not linked to their biological parents. So in other words, you can have a child who's much more spiritual advanced than their parents, or the other way around. And yes, your environment can have an impact, but it has to do with your level of awareness combined with the environment will give this particular individual, or in other words, their ethics and morals are not linked to how they were raised. And you see that in history. For example, Buddha and Jesus, their parents were not enlightened and they had no one around them to actually guide them. How did they know all this information? So you are born at a particular level of awareness, and over time it is shown in your actions. So children will demonstrate at an early age qualities that they will maintain over time and they will keep as adults. So in other words, it's not this fairy tale, children are innocent and beautiful all the time, because it is not true when we look at it in a day-to-day life. Another lie that is often promoted is that seniors are wise because they've lived longer. It's not true, in a sense that it has to do with the person's level of awareness at birth and how they navigate their world. In other words, have they learned from these experiences? And you cannot say, well, because this person is 90 or 80 years old, that you can use whatever they told you and apply it to your own life, because a person's level of awareness is not related to who raised them, the time in history, and so forth. It is based on their own karma and how they want to grow. So in other words, yes, it is possible that a person who's older can actually guide you, but it has to do with whether or not they are at a level of spiritual evolution that allow them to learn from their mistakes and then grow accordingly. But it's not the case. And with most people, they just got old. Like if you hang around long enough, you will grow in age, but doesn't mean that you're going to grow in wisdom. The other one is that people do the best they can. I hear that all the time. You know, the person will try hard. If you interact with the public, let's say if you're a teacher, if you are a coach, I mean, I worked as a health coach and health educator. If you deal with a vast majority of people, you realize that most of them do the bare minimum. In other words, unless there's a serious immediate consequence, they don't do anything to actually improve their lives. And even like people like Tony Robbins, who obviously is very well known about, self-development, will tell you that in terms of people who really go through the program and apply it in their day-to-day lives and actually maintain that, it's maybe like 3%. So easily more than 90% of people do the bare minimum to get through their lives. So they don't want to think too much or, having to strive for anything that is higher than what is absolutely necessary. That's why if you even look at the obesity epidemic that we're facing, people know that they should avoid ultra-processed food, they do exercise and meditate, but most don't. So in other words, yes, there is a small percent of people who really did the very best they can, but they are the exception, not the rule. If you see a person who grows emotionally, spiritually, and improves their mental and physical health and their relationship and into their careers, is that this person really stands out. Because most of the lies that we're being told are positive ones, so people can feel good about themselves, but overall, using the word perfect, saying that most children are innocent, that older people are wiser, or that most people do the best they can, all these are not true when we actually look at it in real life. So let me know what you think about the content of this video by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Also remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos I'm going to be making. Subscribe to my channel and we will talk soon.